Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, I don't know if you've heard yet, but the Supreme Court just saved Donald Trump from himself. They may have just given him the biggest midterm gift ever. So, I have that news to share. And the new the new GDP report was just published. You guys are not going to be surprised to hear it was more bad news for Trump's failing economy. As usual, Trump is blaming the Democrats, though. So here's the deal. So this morning, the Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump's tariffs were implemented in violation of the Constitution. We all knew that. We've been saying it, but they finally made a ruling. Every once in a while, they get something right. They actually follow the law and the Constitution. But the decision wasn't unanimous, so it was a 6-3 vote or 6-3 ruling. John Roberts, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch sided with the liberals, the three liberals. And then Brett Kavanaugh wrote a dissenting opinion, and he accidentally admitted that Trump created a complete disaster. So he wrote, in part at least, the court's decision is likely to generate other serious practical consequences in the near term. One issue will be refunds. Refunds of billions of dollars would have significant consequences for the United States Treasury. The court says nothing today about whether, and if so, how the government should go about returning the billions of dollars that it has collected from importers. I mean, he's not wrong, but okay, so we're just supposed to allow him to continue violating the Constitution because it could be a little messy, because you helped him to create this issue. I mean, maybe they should have taken this case up earlier. Maybe they should have taken it more seriously and ruled on this sooner. I mean, they let it go on for almost a freaking year. You know, what's funny is I always see and hear Trump supporters in focus groups. I see it online. They argue that, oh, well, he had to do this. You know, these tariffs, they were necessary because we had a trade deficit. It was just so unfair. Like, you know, all these countries were taking advantage of us. And, you know, we were importing way more than we were exporting. I mean, first of all, yeah, that happens because we don't manufacture things. I don't like that. I think that we should manufacture more things here. But the fact is that we don't. We offer services to the rest of the world. Okay, that's what we export is services, by and large. Beyond the fact that they're just clueless about how this all works, about the purpose of tariffs, who actually covers the cost to import, you know, the goods when you have these tariffs. Trump's tariffs were not reducing the trade deficit. So even if they were right about how it all works, it wasn't doing what he said it was going to do. It does not mean what what do you think it means? It wasn't accomplishing the goal. Just this week, this was reported, the Washington Post reported, quote, the U.S. merchandise trade deficit hit a record $1.2 trillion last year, despite President Donald Trump's promise to eliminate it by imposing the highest tariffs in 8 decades on foreign-made products. Thursday's Commerce Department report represents the first full-year assessment of the president's ambitious reordering of global trade. The persistence of the deficit in the face of steep new taxes on imports from China, the European Union, and scores of other nations reflects the limits of Trump's preferred policy tool, economists said. So Trump inflicted economic pain on all Americans, on small business owners, some of whom have lost their businesses for nothing. For nothing. The tariffs didn't reduce our national debt, didn't reduce our trade deficit. You know, Americans didn't get a tariff rebate check. But yet we all paid more for groceries. We paid more for products for almost an entire year. And like I said, businesses were completely decimated. Small businesses had to lay off employees. They had to shut down in some cases. And there was more related news that came out today, more bad news for Trump. So the US economy, as you see here, slowed down at the end of last year. Typically, it creeps up. You got Christmas in there. Got people buying all kinds of stuff. You got Thanksgiving, people buying extra groceries and, having people over. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, though, fourth quarter GDP was only 1.4%. And overall, for the entire year of 2025, it was only 2.2%. So for context, it was 2.8% in Biden's final year in office. And economists are saying that the GDP would look even worse if prices hadn't increased because of the tariffs. So you had an increase in the cost of goods, which should have raised GDP, but you saw it drop off precipitously. Also, there's a major spending gap in the country. So there was a Wells Fargo economist that spoke with the Washington Post, and they said, quote, even though the headline numbers look fine, the economic environment right now is incredibly narrowly driven. Higher income households are still spending, but we're seeing pullback from middle and lower income households. So yeah, there's that trickle down economics again, guys. Funny how, the money never quite makes it to the rest of the country, but Trump's oligarchs have tons of cash. They are flush with cash to go out and buy everything that they want. And so it's artificially boosting the GDP. It's artificially making our economy appear better than it is. And the chief economist, I should say, at Wilmington Trust, he said, quote, the economy appears reasonably strong, but if you take a closer look, things are actually quite wobbly. When we look at what's going on with incredibly low job creation and consumers falling behind on credit cards and mortgages and auto loans, it paints a picture of a much weaker economy. So I had shared that with you guys, that all of that is going on. I just shared that with you, not even a week ago, that mortgage delinquencies, 90-day mortgage delinquencies are just skyrocketing. That there's all of these other indications that our economy is just flatlining. These are facts. People are struggling. Right? Regardless of how Trump and his minions try to spin this. And some economists are still trying to put lipstick on this piggy. So there was a chief U.S. economist at Oxford Economics who also spoke with the Post. And this person must have their head up Trump's ass because they said, quote, that hit to government spending will be temporary. It will bounce right back again since federal employees are back at work. We're seeing a slight slowdown now, but this is an economy where the underlying activity is still rising at a pretty solid pace. So this person is saying, oh, no, the GDP is it's slowed down because we had the government shut down and, people weren't working and blah, blah, blah. And so that's the only reason. So, these Trump pumpers, they're just going to keep smoking the crack pipe. They're just going to keep puffing away, pretending everything's great, apparently. And Trump is too. I don't know if you guys saw it. He was in Rome, Georgia, I think it was yesterday. It may have been the day before. He told the crowd, I solved affordability. And he did the whole thing. The Democrats, notice how Democrats haven't mentioned affordability. He always, pronounces it so weird, like it's a joke. Well, I solved it. I fixed it. Everything's good. Keep saying it. Keep doing it. Personally, I love it because you know what? It just shows his base that he doesn't understand what they're going through. It just highlights the fact that he is an out of touch elitist who honestly does not give a damn about anyone other than his billionaire oligarchs. So keep doing it, Trump. Keep going for it. Keep putting him out there, Susie Wiles. We are loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. To do Donald Trump's dance, his little jerk off dance. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. All right, guys. Anyway, enough of me. Love you guys. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like this video, share it with others so they see the truth. Subscribe if you have not. Check to make sure that you are still subscribed. Some people get unsubscribed somehow and they don't know how. Like I said, if you can donate, that truly, truly helps the show tremendously. So I will talk with you soon. Take care.